Oh, yeah! You know what time it is. That's right, it's time for the Eddie and Webby podcast! Yo, I'ma bust out some theme song action for you. Check it out. The Eddie and Webby Show is fun for all. We drink craft beer and mostly talk about pickleball. So if you didn't know, now you know. 'Cause it's time for the Eddie and Webby Show.
On today's episode, Eddie and Webby realize they're gonna need a bigger boat. This is the Eddie and Webby podcast.
Just a city boy, born and raised in South Detroit. Oh, hey, how's it going? This is Webby, not Eddie.
And I'm Eddie, and this is our 89th podcast.
Oh, yeah, episode number 89. Crazy.
I cannot believe we've made it. It's been a little while since we've actually done a podcast episode. We've done some dinking arounds, but I think it was, September was the last time we did an actual podcast?
Yeah, been a very long time. It's good to be back in the saddle once again. I feel a little rusty, but we'll work off the rust as we go.
That's right. We'll shake off the rust. I'm super excited for tonight. As we mentioned in our last episode of Dinking Around, basically, Webby and I, we're going to be scaling back a little bit of what we do on the podcast to make it just very conversational and, just maybe a little bit less stuff, including, which I'm sad to announce, no more Twitter comments for the time being. Isn't that right?
Yeah, I mean, come on. Twitter, let's get real. Twitter can be kind of toxic sometimes. So I think I don't think there's going to be anything wrong. I don't think people are going to miss it too much. We might bring up Twitter every once in a while, but we're not going to do it every single episode like we used to do. So hopefully, everybody out there isn't going to be too sad about it. But I mean, if you are sad, if you are going to miss it, let us know. We can maybe bring it back a little more frequently. But for now, we're going to kind of give the axe to Twitter for a little bit here.
That's right. I'm really excited to bring on our guests here tonight. But before we do that, Webby, is there some sort of contest or something that we're going to be doing this evening?
As a matter of fact, there is.
Ooh.
And there's a couple things I want to say about it first. As you know, I love pickleball.
No.
I also live near Detroit and love to support local companies. So when I saw this t-shirt that was made by Team Made in Detroit Pickleball, I had to have it. So anybody that's watching in the video feed, you can see right here, the shirt says Dinktroit. Get it? Instead of Detroit, it's Dinktroit. And it's got the Detroit skyline. It's got a nice pickleball on it. And I got to say, I love this shirt. I think it looks awesome. So once I saw it, I had to have it. So I purchased it. And I actually got in touch with somebody from Team Made in Detroit. And they were nice enough to offer a free t-shirt to somebody that's tuning in live tonight.
Really?
So somebody tuning in live tonight is going to be eligible and is going to win one of these t-shirts tonight. But you have to be tuning in live. So anybody that's listening to the show after the fact, I'm sorry to say, you missed your chance. You had to tune in live to get it.
Well,
And,
Webby, how did
Eddie,
they get it though, man?
I was just wondering if you were wondering how to win one. But,
I am wondering, how did I do it?
Yeah.
No, I can't, but you can. I mean, not you, but other people can.
Yeah, it's actually quite simple. All you have to do is be tuning in live tonight and leave us a question for our guests, either on Facebook or YouTube on the live stream. But please include the word Dinktroit, like what's on the t-shirt. That way we know that you want to win the shirt, because I'm sure people that don't have any ties to Michigan might not be quite as interested. But I don't know, maybe you are. But just put the word Dinktroit at the beginning or at the end of your message, and send us a message with a question for our guests tonight, and we will choose our favorite question or comment, and whoever sent that question or comment will be the winner of one of these Dinktroit Pickleball t-shirts. Oh, yeah.
Very nice. Thank you to Dinktroit for offering that up to our viewers. That's awesome. And as Webby mentioned, you want to put a comment into there. We are live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. We're live on Twitch. And that means this is meant to be interactive. So if you have any questions or comments for us, or more likely our guest tonight, please feel free to throw them in the comments below. Right, Webby?
That is correct.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm excited to bring on our guests for the evening. One of them is having some technical difficulties, so we might be bringing them on in a little bit here. But that's okay. It happens. The guests we do want to bring on tonight, they are basically at a lot of these pickleball events, running around, some of the hardest workers at the events themselves, putting on what I consider to be one of the highest quality productions in the pickleball world. And that is Boxcar Productions. So I'm happy to bring on this evening Kyle Selinko, Arielle Butler, and also Randy Coleman, who disappeared, who might be on in a little bit. So welcome to the show, guys. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, that's thanks guys. That's why we don't let Randy do any of the technical stuff. We just let him push buttons. Instances just like this.
It is kind of funny that it worked out like this to where Randy is unable to connect. But I have to admit though, at the productions I've been to, Randy is constantly running around, getting things set up, getting the perfect camera angles and stuff like that. So maybe that's just what he should stick to.
I tend to agree.
Yeah.
Randy, just go do some manual labor stuff.
That's so funny.
Leave the brains of the operations to AB over here.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So, although we call you AB, I've also referred to you as April or Audrey, or what are some other names that you get
All
instead
the
of your
A
real name?
names.
Yeah.
I get Randy is big on eBay. It kind of sounds like AB with a weird accent.
Okay.
Kyle's kind of turned that into East Bay,
You
like
remember
those
East Bay? You
the
remember the
sports
magazine?
catalogs.
Yep, I definitely remember that.
And so this all started because Ken Herman is so bad with names. Like he called me Carl for like the first 6 months.
Yeah.
And I don't know where that comes from. So he started calling her Abby.
I
So
mean, it kind of makes sense. He thought
AB,
AB
Abby.
was an abbreviation for Abby, but
Okay.
So we just turned that into any A name we can think of. We'll call her, and she'll usually answer. So
usually
Usually
depends
she
what the
will.
ask is.
Right. Well, that's the good part, is that you can kind of pick and choose, right? Where it's like, maybe this time I don't really want to do that, so I'll pretend like I'm not hearing, or I'll be like, that's not my name, but I
Exactly.
like it. I like it. And Kyle, you've recently cut your hair. You look a little more clean cut, a little more preppy.
yeah, I mean, I just got out of the shower, so most people just know me as the guy with the dirt ball with the long hair, but
I mean, that's literally like what you were in my phone as, is dirt ball with long hair. So
yeah,
I have to change it now.
What did McGuffin always call? He calls me like
Ratty,
greasy, grungy, and I'm just like, man, if these people only knew, like, I've only had this is the first time in my life I've had long hair. Like, I literally started growing it for like 2 years, and then this COVID hit, and I said, well, might as well just keep going now.
Right.
And
You're this
but
far
then
in, might as well.
I kind of just got sick of it, so I was just like, let's go back to the old me when I first started pickleball in like 2016, 2017. And when I was still a nobody, so now it's just like, oh, now you have short hair. When did this happen? Like,
That's
did you
funny.
always have long hair? I'm like, no, actually, I didn't.
Well,
But
it's funny how when you meet somebody and they look a certain way, even though they might have looked differently for 30 years prior to that, that's how you associate them in your head. So I always thought of you as the long hair guy, right?
and even like Eddie, like when we first met, like my hair was still like I was just starting to grow it out, probably like in 2000. Like I started growing it out in November of 2018.
Okay.
And I let it grow like since then. So, and then I finally cut it in August. So that was a long time. And
Nice.
I was like, you're getting up there in age, you might as well just go for it once and see what happens. And then I was like, once I cut it, I was just like, man, this is such a relief, like in the shower, not having all that hair. And now it's so weird. Now I look back from just a couple months, I'm like, who is that guy? Like, I don't even recognize. Like, it's like I never even had it.
Right. Well, that's funny. Well, I believe that our guest that was having technical difficulties has made it onto the show. So let's go ahead and see if he is there. Randy, are you with us here?
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I can see you. I can barely hear you. So sorry.
All right, that's all right. Well, we'll do our best to be able to
I'll probably tap out.
Okay.
I'll
Well,
let, I'll let Big Boss. I'll let Big Boss take over.
all right.
So,
Well, thank you for joining us for all of 30 seconds, Randy.
yeah.
That's funny. Okay, well,
Yeah.
I guess it's gonna be us tonight. So, just so everybody out there knows, Kyle, you started Boxcar Productions how long ago?
Probably like it actually started to come under the name probably like in like November of last year, so almost like a full year ago. This is kind of, you know, kind of this, we were like the no smoke thing, and then I was just like, well, I just kind of wanted to kind of start something new, and that was this kind of the thing. And so um, it was just like the main crew was, was me and Randy and Steve Taylor,
Mm-hmm.
and I know Steve's shooting at the PPA event right now. Um, but like that was just like the starting of it, and because like I was just like for the first year, like I was just almost like a solo act, and Lauren McLaughlin would like help me set up, but I was like doing everything myself, and that was just Eddie, as you would know, and Webby, like that is extremely difficult to do, um,
Yeah.
and I needed people to like kind of like help me with my blind spots, and everyone that everyone that's part of the team now is like somebody that is an asset to some of my weaknesses in terms of the live streaming in general, the broadcast, like um, so that's just kind of how it started. And so we have Randy who he's like kind of like the technical director where he'll do a lot of the cuts, and he's like the guy that manages cables and sets the cameras and sets the shots and frames the shots. And Steve does all the graphics. And AB is the statistician and scoreboard keeper because, man, I'll tell you what, people are hardcore about the score. So I was the worst with the score, you know.
Yep.
So I needed somebody, and I needed somebody to fill that void. So AB does all the stats and the score during the match, um, and then we also have Spencer Laurent, who's in California, who he's usually in charge of the second court, and he'll run some man cameras during some of the events, and then his assistant Mitch, which Spencer's a very interesting cat. I don't know if you know much about him, but he's a Twitch star, so he actually has the longest streak of like 8 years of every single day continuous. Well, there's an asterisk that we make fun of that because
Right. Yeah.
he
Yeah.
streamed on his second channel, but 8 years straight where he streamed every single day on Twitch. It's the longest streak. And then his assistant that helps him with like on the second court, Mitch was one of his fans, and that's how they met. So it's an interesting crew we have, but somehow a ragtag group of us all seem to work somehow. So
Well, I've definitely enjoyed my times helping out with the production the couple times that I've done that. Webby, I totally screwed up, man. I totally forgot that we're not drinking yet. And that's like we're 20 minutes into the show. Like we need to fix that. So are you gonna enjoy a beverage this evening?
Absolutely, and I'm telling you, I feel like something was lacking with the show. I feel like
Yeah.
with you and I feel like something wasn't quite right between you and I think that's exactly what it is. The fact
Yeah,
that
you were a
our
lot less
palates are
tolerable to me
dry,
because I wasn't drinking. So yeah.
right, right. But yeah, I will be drinking something, and actually, what I'm drinking tonight it goes along with some big news in the craft beer world,
Mm-hmm.
especially for Michiganders. And that news is that Larry Bell of Bell's Brewery has decided to retire, and he is selling Bell's Brewery to a global beer company. But something interesting about that is the fact that the company that is purchasing Bell's also owns New Belgium, which is a company that Eddie and I are no strangers with. We are quite friendly with them. We have a good relationship with
Yes.
New Belgium. But yeah, so now Bell's and New Belgium are going to be part of the same company. So they're kind of going to be merging together in some capacity. And I can't think of a better drink to drink tonight than double Two-Hearted Ale from Bell's Brewery. And this is something I just recently tried for the first time. This is very delicious and very strong, coming in at 11%. So I'm going to be feeling really good by the end of the show.
Yes, I love it. A drunk Webby episode is always a good one.
Yes,
That's right.
Yep.
That's a Randy Coleman style beer. Like the first thing he does when we go to the restaurant, he looks at all the beers and he goes, "Well, I want an ale. What's the highest percentage do you have?"
Yep.
That's his go-to.
Nice.
Smart guy.
Yeah, well, I think Randy would love this one. I love this one, so that's what I'll be enjoying. What about you, Eddie?
I'm on a seltzer kick again, and I've been really liking these Topo Chico hard seltzers. This one is the strawberry guava flavor, and I happen to like it. I really like their lemon lime ones, or lemon something, and I drank them way too quick out of my 12-pack, so now I'm moving on to the strawberry guava, and I thoroughly enjoy them. What about you, Kyle and AB? Are you guys going to be enjoying any beverages tonight?
I have water with liquid IV in there right now.
Okay.
So,
Going with the Monster Zero Ultra,
All
I
right.
think is what it's called.
Nice.
The white one.
Well, Webby and I will do our
on a diet.
Yeah. We'll do our drinking for the both of you, because neither one of us are on a
That's
diet,
right.
because that's lame. That's stupid. You guys are stupid
Very
for doing
lame.
that.
Very
I'm-
lame.
All right, well, so now that we have our drinks out, I can't believe we did that, man. I feel like we totally disrupted the conversation, but it's important. It's important that we have our beverages while we live stream. I can't. It's just they go together for me. So anyway, back to you guys, the stars of the show. So Kyle, you talked a little bit about how Boxcar started. Like, talk a little bit more about where the name came from and how that ties into what you do.
Yeah, so like this was a really hard because like I really wanted to kind of represent like kind of like what I'm all about, and everything in my life. I come from very humble beginnings, so like everything in my life I've really had to work for. So anything that like perseverance kind of I was thinking I wanted to be called like Fortitude Productions, but that's kind of lame. I was kicking around like bootstraps, like pull yourself up by your bootstraps. That really wasn't really catching for me, even though it would have been a cool logo. But so kind of like Boxcar came to mind because like it's kind of unique. And if you ever watch like trains have been around for forever, right? And usually nothing will stop them. They're very resilient. So that's just kind of the model we have. And the Boxcar is something that there's a bunch of them, so it's like a team, and they're all tied together, right? And they're moving in one direction, and that's kind of what we want to embody. Like we want to be a team that we're all working towards like a common goal, and we're resilient, and we'll go and we'll do whatever we have to do to get the job done. So that's kind of where Boxcar came into play, and that's kind of how we came up with the name. And I thought it was just kind of catchy, and it's kind of unique. And that was kind of what embodied like my personality. So that kind of like the train kind of reference. So that's how we came out with it. But it took a while. I really wanted to call it Clutch Sport or Clutch Productions with a K. But then LeBron James's agent is called like Clutch Production. They're Clutch Sports
really?
or something like that. Yeah, with a K. So I was like, I kind of like this. So
Well, I think it's cool that you have a story too, right? Like the actual
mhm.
the name of your company and the brand and what it represents is meaningful to you, and I think it comes through in your work. Outside of Webby, I don't think that anybody here right now has any like professional background or experience in video production or live streaming or anything like that. And that's one of the things I love about pickleball is that people find their place to move the sport forward that they like, and they just go all in and figure it out. And it seems to me like you're kind of another example of that, where you found a passion for video and live streaming, and so you're like, well, why not go all in? Is that a pretty true statement?
Yeah. So like I was very unhappy. I worked at an engineering job doing design work, which is there's nothing wrong with that, but it was an office job. And so like and I was there for 10 years, and
Wow.
and it was a great company, great people that worked there, but like me sitting in an office is like not something like I want to do like my whole life, right? And so like video production, like I had a passion for editing when I was in high school, and I almost went to film school in Milwaukee to edit. But at the time, this was like right on the cusp before YouTube and everything started
Mhm.
taking off in like 2004, 2005. And so like if you're going to edit video, like you had to, it was like pretty much just films. It wasn't this huge craze where now everybody can edit if you know if you really want to find out how to do it. Like everyone you can it's the entry is very easy, like for whatever you want to do. I mean, there's
Mhm.
platforms now to get your work out there. So I kind of had a little bit of passion, but I kind of got put to the side for a while. And it's kind of a funny story because like in 2019, like I was really struggling from anxiety, like really bad OCD and anxiety. And I get these episodes, and I don't care. Like I talk about this because um, like this isn't just like general anxiety. Like it's like an episode, and
Yeah.
I've had them, and they last for several months. And I was going through one of these in 2019, like the beginning of 2019, and it got so bad that like it caused me to develop the yips because I was so OCD and thinking that things were going to go wrong and serving. So like that's like kind of like where this started was like, oh man, like it's so bad. And so like I took a break from playing pickleball. And at the time I was dating Lauren, as you guys know, Lauren McLaughlin. And like she was getting into you know, this live streaming on her phone, which is like some people were doing at the time, and
Hmm.
I know you guys were like the leaders, and like actually you and Carl Schmitz were like the leaders in like doing a full production, but Lauren was really kind of catching a voice and commentary and getting some positive feedback. So like that's why we decided to start like a web series because we just wanted to be like you guys, so we just wanted to copy everything that you guys did. So pretty much my whole career is just copying Eddie and Webby, like just to let everybody know that.
Yes.
And so we started with a little show, and that's kind of how we at the time we heard rumblings of a tour that was starting. This was in 2019, but I actually heard it at the end of 2018. It was going to be called the Southern Midwest Series, and it was going to be started by this guy in Northern Illinois, Ken Herman, and we're from Milwaukee. So in the summer or September of 2019, Ken decided that he was going to do like a soft test and run his first major tournament in Chicago, and he asked Lauren to come do some commentating and and do this live stream on a phone on a second court. And so she did that. So we kind of got to know Ken and like his vision for a whole professional tour. And he kind of asked us if we would do like a web series show because we were already doing one for him.
Hmm.
So like still at the time, I really didn't think I was going to be live streaming pickleball, and because Ken already had someone lined up to do the 2020 season, and that kind of fell apart, and like I still wasn't going to do it. And Eddie and Webby, if you guys remember, like we came to you, and I was like, hey, you
Hmm.
guys should go talk to Eddie and see if he wants to do it. So like we first were like, hey Eddie, like, what do you guys think about doing this? And you had some discussions, but uh, you ultimately turned it down. So Ken was like, Kyle, like, what do you think about you doing? And I was like, I don't know. I guess we'll find out. And
Right.
and so that's just kind of like with my personality. It's like as soon as like I have a passion for something, it's very OCD and it's very like I want to figure it out. And you guys have both been like major help in this finding things out. But that was in the beginning of 2020, so that was right before COVID hit. And actually, Hilton Head was in March of 2020,
Hmm.
and that actually probably saved me COVID. Not I don't want to say anything save COVID,
I know we
anything
we
good about
understand what you're
COVID.
saying. We're yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
because it
Yeah.
gave me it gave me it
Yeah.
gave me more time to figure out what like how to actually put a production together, and that's just kind of how it kind of took off. And then after that, like I just literally like spent every single dollar I had in equipment and everything. And I said, you know, it's it's either I'm 30, I was 33 or 34 at the time. I was like,
So
it's either
old.
gonna take
God.
a risk now. Yeah. Yeah, right. But still, like you're kind of set in your career, and you're like, well, if I'm gonna make a turn here, like you either got to go all in, and just have the fact to be like, hey, it might not work, but you know, sometimes you need that pressure to be like, hey, it's sink or swim, and just go for it. And I said, okay, well, let's do it. Let's go all in. So I spent everything I had to start this, um, and luckily, the tours have kind of taken off, and just luck. It's just a lot of it is luck, but they say, like, luck is like when preparation meets, um, you know, what's it,
Opportunity.
like, preparation opportunity, right?
Yep.
So kind of got lucky, but um, so that's just kind of the story about it. So I kind of stopped playing a lot of pickleball and was really focusing on that, but now I'm kind of getting the itch to play some more pickleball. So I've been playing some more tournaments lately.
Yeah, I saw you've been winning some medals in some tournaments lately. That's awesome. Congrats on that.
I know that's another, like, ask AB. Like, it's funny.
Yeah.
Like, what do people say? Like when we go play these tournaments, it's funny.
Oh yeah, nobody knows what to think about Kyle because they've only seen him, at the big APP or USA pickleball events, just in the
Right.
booth and pressing buttons and having a headset on, whatever. And then they see him on the court and they don't expect too much. And then we start playing against him. They're like, oh, he's
Yeah.
actually pretty good.
Right. He actually knows what he's doing. Oh, that's cool.
So
I want to
it's
dig a little more
it's
into
been
your pickleball
go
past
ahead.
here. But Webby, it looks like there's some good comments and questions coming in social media. Any that you want to share?
Yeah, we've actually got quite a few good ones. I'll read just a few of them for now. This one comes from Justin Rodriguez on YouTube. And he says, do you think that copying Eddie and Webby is really a good idea? I think it's brilliant, if you ask me.
Hey, isn't like copying like the finest, like, thing of flattery or whatever they call
Flattery,
that?
right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
the sincerest form of flattery. Yes,
Yes,
I
that's
agree
what
it
it
is.
is. Yeah.
Imitation.
Yeah.
Imitation, right?
Yeah.
So, like, you know, picking your guys' brains, like, I probably wouldn't have been able to figure, some stuff out, even though we were using, different software and hardware, but
Mhm.
still there's a commonality of things that, come together, that you need to know, that I've been able to lean on you guys to, figure out some answers that sometimes I'm not able to find out. But that's like the interesting thing to me is that, like, I had, prior to 2019, I had not touched the camera since 2005. I had absolutely no background. Like, that's what I love about, like, just America in general. Like, if you want to do something and if you're really passionate about it, like, the internet has the answers for you.
Yeah. 100%.
So, like, that's what I found that was, you know, it's almost like it is like the American dream kind of thing. Like, if you work really hard at something, obviously you need some luck along the way, but, like, you can figure things out. And that's kind of this what happened. There was this hundreds of hours of research and tinkering with things and trying to figure things out. But I learned almost everything exclusively on YouTube. No lie.
Isn't it crazy how much you can find on YouTube? Which, speaking of tinkering, Webby, did you just tinker our screen off?
I know.
So
I was,
apparently
like, very, very nervous.
So I think there's something weird going on. I'd hit the button that normally makes the message at the bottom go away, and it turned the screen black.
Okay.
So
That's
I don't think it's
hilarious.
totally my fault. I think it's something up with the way vMix is set up.
Sure. Blame the software, right? Yeah.
See, VMix. Yeah, Eddie. See, it's VMix again.
So for these of you guys that don't know, so Kyle and I have chosen two different paths to go down with our live stream production. We're not going to bore the audience because it would bore you to tears, I swear, if you're not in it. With why, and so we kind of had this battle of, like, oh, well, vMix could do this, or oh, look at stupid vMix. So that's where that comes
Yeah.
from. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's sort of like pretty much our softwares we use are competitors to each other.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so funny when something goes wrong, I'd be like, "Oh, stupid new tech." Oh,
Oh, I don't have that problem with vMix, but apparently
yeah.
a button will just make the screen go black on vMix. So that's so
I do
funny.
love how professional you all are, though. You kept rolling with it. The screen was totally black. I was kind of panicking over here because I knew that I'd caused it, and you just kept going and kept talking. So anybody listening to it up until we started talking about it never knew anything was going on.
That's right. We're gonna delete that from the final video. So
Yeah.
That's
But
cool.
we got another good question here. This one comes from Manuel Fontana, and they say, what was the funniest thing that happened to you while streaming? Or the opposite, what was the most tense situation that you experienced?
Oh man, that's a the thing is like probably like the funniest thing, not funny, is having a camera that's on a 15-foot tripod fall over. Like that's never that's never any fun.
Hilton Head, right?
Yeah, that was Hilton Head in 2020, not this year.
Yeah. We were in
Um,
Vegas doing the live stream out there, and I remember we were watching because we were 3 hours behind. So we had on your live stream. I was with the Jigsaw crew at the house. We had on the live stream as we were getting up and having breakfast. And why don't you explain what happened?
it wasn't like we had an umbrella that was blocking the camera from the sun because it was pretty hot out. And I think it just caught the umbrella. Like it wasn't even windy, so I was like, well, I don't need to tie this or sandbag this or anything. And stupid, lazy me, which I never do. I'm always overly cautious instead of under. Like just caught a little wind and just blew the tripod and the camera over. And like it's like when that happens, it's like in slow motion. It's like ooh, and you're just trying to get up to run to catch it, and you just know you're not gonna get it, but you're just watching it. You're just like dollar signs are falling from the sky as the camera's
Right.
going down.
Yeah.
Probably, let's see, some other tense things is, um, it's always tense like when you can't get the internet to work properly
Mhm.
and your stream keeps going down. That's uh, that's probably the most frustrating thing that happens is because like you're so focused on like how can we keep the internet up from dropping and like you can't focus on directing the broadcast so it really takes you out of flow. That's really frustrating. um
We had Chicago when the power went down immediately after a match point. So the match ended and then boom.
boom.
But it couldn't
Oh,
have been
man.
it couldn't have been better timing. I mean,
Someone's so we got two stories. Someone unplugged it. Another funny Rich Thunder Lopez one time in SoCal decided that he needed to plug his phone and he unplugged the whole broadcast. So that's fun to plug his phone in. That's fun.
I mean, there's nothing like getting in the groove of the day and then I look over to my right and you see Randy Coleman on a stool with his fake plastic teeth in and he hasn't told anyone. He just starts talking in like a weird southern accent. Teeth Randy. You never know when he's gonna come out in the middle of the day.
Yeah. Randy is one of the guys that he keeps it pretty light in there. So he always wants to go on the talkies, which is the microphone. And like he's just funny. This like he just always is keeping it light where sometimes it can get pretty tense. um, but he can he's got some good jokes to keep us kind of calm. But yeah, so nothing too majorly funny happened. Can you think of anything that's majorly that's like, oh
Not
my,
like a huge
insane?
situation. It's more so just all the little moments, just funny things. I don't
We
know. Never
had
know what Dom's gonna do either.
Yeah, we had
True.
yeah, it's always funny like when we do have talk back and I can talk to Dominic in his headsets and I'm cracking jokes on him or making fun of things he's saying. We had one time AJ Kohler lost at SoCal in the final and he whipped his paddle and it came like 6 inches from wiping out a monitor. That was pretty fun.
Oh,
Pretty funny.
God.
Like it was so fast. It was like, and he's like, he didn't mean it. But I'm like, don't worry about it.
Yeah,
But it came
that
like
was a close call.
that was a close call. Uh, anything other funny
I
thing
don't
that
know.
happened?
I mean, we had the beer cans being crushed in the booth.
Yeah, we had players that were out of the tournament crushing beer cans inside of the booth before. This like it's like random stuff going on like that. Uh, it's funny for some reason, like the pro players always they somehow always find their way into weaseling
Mhm.
into tent for some reason. I think part of it is because like it's a place that they can get away because like, sometimes they're getting bothered
Mhm.
during the tournament. Um, but Yeah. I one time had Frank Anthony Davis freak out on me because on the opposite court, we were putting up a ladder to fix a camera. And he said it was causing him anxiety, so that was interesting. Another weird one. But I'm like, all right. Like, uh, trying to think of anything else that's really, I don't know. We just really like messing with Dom too. So,
Yeah,
Nice.
I just
found out-
don't put water in his.
yeah,
yeah. Found out he doesn't like water in his pocket. Yep.
like
You gotta tell that story.
yeah, so Randy and Dom are always messing with each other, like playing little pranks on each other. So Randy one time decided that he was going to put, right before we were in commercial break, but right before we were going to go back on, that he was going to slip some water in Dominic's pants pocket, and he did that. And Dominic's always cool with like all the jokes, but that one, he just flipped, and it wasn't like an astronomical amount of water. It was just like a little bit of water.
He ripped off the headset.
Yeah.
He threw something. I think it hit me. I had no idea what was going on.
And that was at Beer City Open, right?
That was at Beer City Open, which was. That's why we, it's we're around each other so much that it's you got to keep it light somehow. So we all pretty much can take jokes pretty well. So
Yeah, Randy brought him some pizza to make up for it, and they shared a nice hug after that. It was okay after that.
Aw, they hugged it out and they were good. That's cool.
Nice.
Fun
That was a
group.
great
I've always
question.
enjoyed. Yeah, I've always enjoyed the antics, hanging out with you guys for sure.
Absolutely.
TOC, that was a ride.
That was the weather. I mean, we live streamed pro matches from a barn. I mean, that was interesting, fun, but not what I expected Utah to be like in August.
All right, I'm going to do one more question for now from the audience. There's been a lot of great ones coming in. This one comes from Paige Heisel, and Paige says, got a question for AB. How has the transition from tennis... Oh, I'm sorry, I lost it for a second here. Oh, man.
I knew she'd want one of those shirts.
How has the transition gone from coaching tennis to doing production in pickleball?
Yeah, it's been fun. I actually still have a job in the tennis world that I can do remotely, which is why I'm able to travel and help Kyle and Boxcar with the production as well. So I actually do kind of still have my feet in tennis a little bit, helping mainly like international students kind of navigate the college recruiting process. So it's actually a really busy time for that right now with National Signing Week going on. But yeah, as far as production goes, obviously have no background in anything like that, as Eddie kind of got to see at TOC a little bit. I'm figuring out some new things and getting help and just kind of learning some new skills. But as far as coaching tennis, I was pretty much the day I think I started playing pickleball on a regular basis. I think that was the day I was done with tennis, like playing and coaching wise. I think my head's been in pickleball for about 3 years almost now. So it's been a very interesting transition, but wouldn't change a thing. Thanks, Paige.
and that's like kind of like just like the side goal of what we're trying to do right now. We're trying to get her ready to play some pro events next summer and next spring, and women's and mixed pro. So that's just kind of our side project that we got going on right now, is trying to like this practice and drill, and that's why we've been playing some tournaments together. I've kind of had, like I said, the itch, but her skill set is coming along extremely fast. So it's kind of exciting, and because like I'll never be a pro player, but she has probably a chance to, if she keeps working at it, to do some good things at the pro level. So I got to play tournaments while I still come with her before she'll never play.
Yeah,
with me.
before she gets too good. I like it.
Yeah, right?
Before I blow up.
Well, I've had a chance to play with both of you, and I would say that, yeah, you guys definitely both have some pretty solid skill sets with pickleball. It's always fun. First time I played with AB was back at Tournament of Champions. That was a good time. Kyle, I played with you a couple times, but I don't. What? So you made a comment there. You said that you're not pro's not for you, or you've given up on that dream. Like what? Why do you feel that way, Kyle?
Like there's a stark difference between like a 5-0 player, like a low 5-0 player like myself, and a top 5 player in the world in like Zane Navratil.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing has been ever more evident than we actually went and drilled with him and we did 2-on-1 drills with him. And when he's winning half the drills, like that's that's like on a 2-on-1, like you're just like, and you're just seeing the balls that he's roping. It's just like, that's never gonna happen. That's not in my deck of cards. So you just kind of got to be realistic with kind of where you think you are. But
Well, and here's the thing too. It feels like where the sport is going right now, to be in the top outside of like Matt Wright, you kind of have to make it your full-time thing, right? And yes, there's a couple people who do have side jobs and things like that that are just naturally gifted that can do it. But I think that is going to 5 years ago, that was the norm. People didn't do pickleball full-time 5 years ago, right? Now I feel like it's the exception where you have somebody where it's not their full-time or mostly full-time thing. And I think that what you just said is to be in the very top, you kind of have to. You need to give it that level of commitment to stay where you need to be in order to make yourself, I don't want to say relevant because that's not a bad term, or it's not a good term, but like to maintain at the top spot in the pro level. Would you guys agree with that?
and I still feel like if I quit everything and just played pickleball, like I still couldn't get to that highest level.
Yeah.
Like, and that's just the realistic. I just don't know what it is. Like I see the way Zane hits balls, and I'm just like, I could probably practice by every single day for hours on end and probably still not be able to, play like that.
Was there ever a time where you could beat Zane on a consistent basis?
Not on a consistent basis, but there's times like when the gap wasn't as far as it was, right?
Because you
Where
guys
like
used to
we'd be
train together a
drilling,
lot,
yeah,
right?
yeah, and like so there'd be a time where like I would win maybe 30% of the time, when we do one-on-one drills.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then even like even when he was in college, like like I, the gap was even closer probably when he was just in college and playing. But then he stopped, and then he kind of took off once he started working his job. But then he worked so many hours, and then the gap kind of closed again, and then he quit his job, and then it's just like here,
The rest is
and the
history.
rest is history, right? Um, and now like even from last time of this year, like we drill and like I would win some drills off of him, but now it's like it's I mean we were playing in a personal like a private home, and I mean granted it's on a cement like with a layer of what is that? What even is that? It's just like
I don't
it's
know.
like a coating of tennis surface, so the ball is extremely fast
It's very fast.
and probably the fastest place I've ever played. And it's just the amount of spin and the speed that he hits balls. It's mind-boggling to me. So you just I don't know. You just got to kind of like I say, you just got to be realistic with what you think you can, and that's it's just not for me. And like if you're not going to make money playing pro events, like to me, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Um, so.
Let's go. Well, hey, you know what? You found your thing obviously with Boxcar, which is awesome. What obviously Webby and I have some experience with live streaming. You guys have more experience now just from the sheer number of events you've done in the last couple of years. What do you think is like the biggest misconception that the pickleball audience has about live streaming productions with pickleball?
I think. Well, I'll let AB answer this first.
Yeah.
What do you think?
No, I mean, especially for someone like me who used to tune into the live streams pretty regularly and really had no idea what went into it at all, and then now being on this side, I mean, just the sheer amount of, setup and tear down every single day. But when it comes to, I don't know, the actual, once the feed is up and everything, um, I don't know. I think people do complain about the scoreboard a lot, but that's I took care of that situation. Um, I don't know. I think especially from, just the number of cameras that are used and different angles and everything, it's people really just have no idea like what goes into into the whole production. They think it's somebody sets up one
Right.
camera and it's good to go, and why is the internet not perfect at all
Right.
times? And I mean, you don't know what's going on unless you're there. So
I remember Webby,
Yeah,
it was Florida
yeah.
Florida Grand Slam when you and I were live streaming it, and I remember we had a comment that was like, "Hey, my neighbor is playing court 6. Can you guys go ahead and show that on the live stream?" And we're like,
Yeah.
"Do you have any idea? We have 4 cameras up. We have cables running everywhere. No, we can't just pick up and go to the other court." And that was the kind of the first time it set into me like, I think the expectations of the pickleball audience and the reality of what goes into this are completely off base here. Kyle, have you experienced that too? Like similar?
Like you look at a production, and it's like ours is usually like 5 cameras,
Mm-hmm.
and that doesn't seem like a lot, but the sheer amount of equipment, like I always think about this. I'm like, I just look at everything and I look at all the cabling and everything and all the equipment. I'm just like, for 5 cameras, this is so much work to get 5 cameras to, to produce the content, right? It's a lot more work, and it's expensive. Like I don't think people realize how expensive, um, like how hard this is and how much it costs to produce something like this. And not only that, then working, an 8 to 10 hour, sometimes it can even go longer than that. Just the
Mm-hmm.
concentration that it takes to do it. Um, and
Multiple
and
days in a
unlike any
row.
other multiple days in a row coming back, like we get there at 6 o'clock in the morning, the setup, and then we tear down, and it's like 7 or 8 o'clock at night, right? They're very long days. And then something that's really interesting and unique is that, like in most sports, like you have one match, so like you can prep to
Mm-hmm.
like do a really, a lot of pre, post, stuff, and like you're literally rolling into the next match. So you got to have, um, a lot of things in pre-made, you know, pre on the front end to be able to give some context, to matches and stuff. So it's I think, like Terry said in the comment, like that it's just easy when
Mm-hmm.
it's not. Like there's so many focal points that if one thing goes wrong in equipment, it could mess a whole chain of things up, right?
Yep.
Um, and so just knowing, just trying to put out problems like that, the only way you can combat that is just being prepared to do things. So that's probably like the main conception. And I don't think people realize that, you know, some of these places that we go, they don't always have the best internet
Right.
or anything. So,
Or space for camera angles to get, or
yeah,
it's they might only have 10 courts, so they can't take down a whole court to put a tripod
exactly.
on there. Yeah, it's in venues, it's tough. Like a lot of these things take a lot of time and logistics to get right, and you can't just show up at the event and go live. It takes days. I remember I was on a call with you, Kyle, and you had Google Maps out, and you were actually literally using the whatever it's called, where you can see the distance between the baseline and the wall, and like coordinating all these things. It's so much work. And if that's one thing I could tell the audience out there, it's like, just be a little grateful. First of all, I think that the pickleball audience, and I know, Webby, you're going to hate me for this, but I think the pickleball audience could be a bunch of spoiled babies and a bunch of spoiled brats. You're getting the stuff for free. You're getting 8 to 10 hours of live stream every single day that these people are live, and you're complaining that it's not perfect. You watch a football game, You don't have commentators going for 8 hours a day live streaming it. You don't have camera operators going for that. There's 1 3-hour match that they have a week to prepare for, and they execute, and they're done. That's it. In pickleball, these guys are busting their asses for days in preparation, and they're working 12, 13, 14-hour days while they're doing it, and you're mad that the scoreboard's off by 1 or that the camera angle was off. It's like, just shut up. Like, show some appreciation and some gratitude. You're getting free content from people that are busting their ass. So I know you guys can't say that, but I'll say it for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Like a lot of it too is like this isn't just like us either. Like, you know, the whole tour in general, because we do a lot of mostly APP tour events. Like this stuff starts to get planned weeks in advance, right? And so there's always a balance of logistically where we're going to put this, you know, and you're saying about can we kill courts? Like it's always a balancing act, because if you kill courts, then you can't have as many participants. So then the tour's losing money because you don't have enough participants. But if you don't kill a court, then like the production's not going to look as good. So there's always like a balancing act. Like, you know, sometimes like, you know, we have to like shoot over high fences and it's not the best angles. Like everything's just a balancing act. And it takes like to put on an event, it takes weeks of preparation, because you go to these things and like you don't even realize like the amount of prep to get bathrooms and signage and volunteers and all referee coordinators. Like just to put on one tour stop is a ton of work. And I don't think people realize like how much work, you know, and since we're so
months and months for one
and
3-day event.
And since we're so in the beginning of like this journey into pickleball kind of exploding, like you're working on limited budgets, right? You don't always have the manpower to, you know, that people, you know, the people are seriously busting their ass because, you know, this is what it is. You're at the beginning stages, so like you got to grind it out, and hopefully it turns into something huge, you know. And so, just in general, you know, even at these tournaments, like this, if you're a player, like you need to be thanking like all the volunteers. Like a lot of volunteers that I see, I say thank you, because like you can't do this without volunteers. Terry Hartley, who does now he's the ops guy. Like you can't do that. He's there putting up signages and like he's busting it all day. You know, Ken is never stopping. I never see that guy stop doing something. You know, one minute I see him putting out a fire somewhere, and next minute I see him filling a water jug. Like it's like, you know, it's a lot of hard work from a lot of people. But you know, it's just a lot of communication between a lot of people, and it's a lot of this ops stuff, and I don't think people realize just how much goes into it, from the commentators to anybody on Boxcar to anybody from the APP tour. Like it's a lot of work for a small crew of people, and you know, sometimes it's not perfect, but everyone's intentions are pure in what we're trying to do.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's any other sport out there that I've ever seen that would be the right setup for something like this, because at the end of the day, when you're burnt and you're ready to call it quits, the passion for pickleball, I believe, is what keeps a lot of people going and staying in and being able to grind it out, and you know, and not get burnt out, because it's easy to get burnt out when you're doing that. So I know I've had you guys on for an hour here. As you can tell, I love talking about live streaming, but I do want a question here. Yeah, right.
We could talk, Eddie. Let's keep this rolling. I got lots of things.
All right. Well, so talk to me. Like, what do you think is the future of pickleball live streaming or productions? And actually, before I ask that, I wanted to have kind of another question that go along with it. I would like to propose that we move away from having these 8-10 hour day broadcasts 3 to 4 days in a row for a number of reasons. Number one, I think that it's diluting the amount of pickleball content out there, and it's not making it as special as it could be. Number two, I think that when we do these really long days, by the time the medal matches are around, people are not at their best because they've been manning a camera or manning a board or just uber focused or doing commentary for 8 hours. You're not going to be at your best at that point. It's hard to focus. So I think that we're doing a detriment to the sport by having full blown productions for that many hours a day for that many days straight. And I would love it if it moved in the direction of maybe for until you get to the winners bracket finals, it's a camera, or maybe it's a few different courts that people can go through. And then that way, when it gets to the matches for 2-3 hours at the end of the day, boom, that's when it's the full blown production. Everybody's in there and they're focused, and it sets everybody up for success. So it's kind of a two-part question. What do you think about that? And then what do you see as kind of the future of pickleball? And either one of you guys can take those questions.
You want to go first, AB?
I mean, I like that idea, Eddie. I don't know. Part of the issue might be a little bit of what you were talking about earlier, where a lot of the current viewership now expects something because of where the bar has been set. And I think trying to what would be perceived by a lot of people as, doing less or backsliding a little bit if they didn't get to listen to the commentary all day long or see different camera angles in the early round matches, that people would probably be upset about that. But it's you have a very valid point of you want the production to be the highest quality possible. And, the medal matches are what should matter the most to, the tournament, to the viewers, to the players, to everybody.
To the sponsors
I think
too,
that's
right?
Exactly. Yep. Sponsorship. I think that's a good point. I think it could be a good idea going forward. Just depends, who would be willing to give something like that a go based on, don't know what might be promised to sponsors in terms of, airtime for commercials and things like that. But I think that's a pretty solid idea.
Yeah, I think Ariel, to the first point, a, a lot of this is a lot of these tournaments and these tours cannot happen without sponsors, right? So what do sponsors want, especially on the broadcast? They want commercials, right? So that's one of the harder problems. Like we can't run a large amount of commercials if we're only streaming a full production for 3 hours a day. So that's the first issue with that, right? But the problem, and this is what's concerning to me of late that I've been watching, is that live viewership has been steadily declining over the past several months,
Yeah.
right? The product in general, there's so much pickleball going on, so many tournaments that it's getting diluted, right? Um, like here's the prime example, right? MLP last weekend, new format, very exciting, lots of drama, very good production, and you can barely crack 1,000 viewers.
Right.
Like there's supposedly 4 million people that are watching or that play pickleball, and we can, as a community, only muster 1,000 viewers. So if your viewership is going down, that's a problem, right? Because what sponsor, that's the whole goal is like you want to have as many people watching so sponsors can see that hey, there's people watching and we can sell our stuff because there's people watching. But that's concerning about to me is that the viewership isn't going up, it's going down a little bit live, right? So that's what my biggest issue is. My second issue is that you watch the MLP stuff, like that production, unbelievable, right?
Yeah.
That production probably cost, I don't even want to speculate, but probably 40 times the cost of my budget, right? So that can't be the real expectation of what where we are currently in pickleball, because to replicate that every single weekend, it's just not possible. Okay. Um, Maybe in big events like that, but still, like, that's a lot of money to try to have to make up. And that, that's the issue, is that the expectations need to be realistic about, even though it's exploding, we still need to be realistic where pickleball actually is in terms of, where sponsors are coming in, what's actually really going on. Because even like you look at pros, like pros are like, well, you know, we should be getting paid this, this, and this. And it's just like you have a couple people setting the expectations of that's not realistic and what they're getting paid, and they expect it now that's what it should be. But it's just a few people that have deep pockets that are paying this. Are they making money? Who's to say?
Right.
But from my standpoint, from what I see and from my background, I don't know. I everyone has their own plans and their own financial, plan, but expectations need to be real for what they are at the current moment, and that's like my biggest thing is that somehow as a community, like what, and I posed this question during the live stream on MLP, is what can we do to drive up viewership, because that's what's really going to matter.
Well, and I think it has to be a special thing. And I'm not saying that what you do is not special, or what PPA is doing is not special, or what some of these smaller tournaments with maybe smaller live stream productions isn't special. It's all special. But when you get 100 Christmas presents as a kid, it dilutes everything. When you get one amazing gift that you'll remember, I still remember when I got my first Nintendo, right? If I would have also that same day gotten 30 other gifts, it probably wouldn't have stood out to me as that special. And now with pickleball, I love the fact that I can turn on a live stream pretty much every weekend right now. Sometimes multiple live streams with multiple courts, with multiple commentators, with multiple camera angles. I mean, it's great. That's fantastic. But it's not special anymore. I'm not looking forward to the U.S. Open coverage being on CBS for the very first time, or I'm not looking forward to, oh my God, we have that APP event coming up here in a couple weeks. Like, I can't wait. Let me look at my calendar for the weekend and see what I have going on. That's why viewership is down, is because it's a saturated. There's too much content. It dilutes the value of what is being provided, and I think it's also potentially going to hurt sponsors, because now it's not special. Now you don't have so many eyes on it. Now you have 8 hours of a live stream to go through, and I think it's just taking away from it.
Yeah, that's like probably like my major concern of what's going on right now, is that the product feels like, you're saying, Eddie, like it's getting diluted a little bit. But then you could say the opposite. Well, if we only did 10 tournaments, even though the product's getting diluted, we might have as many people watching in 10 tournaments as we would 20.
Yeah.
Right. So like the numbers are still the same, but now you just have to do more tournaments, which, as a tour, that might be something that's, a positive in the light of that. Right.
And
Still,
I always think too, it's like sometimes pickleball, it's almost like it's constantly feeding itself. You're going to have 600 people of diehard pickleball fans watching at any time, no matter what tournament you have out there, especially later in the day, right? Like that group, they're going to watch no matter what, because they're hardcore, they're dedicated. But that's not the group that I feel like these sponsors need to be going after, right? Like, I don't think that somebody who's been in pickleball for 6 years and already has the paddle that they love and already has their whole setup there, if they see a Selkirk commercial come on, they're probably not going to be like, oh, maybe I should go buy a Selkirk paddle. They already know that they're part of Team Paddle Tech or part of Team Engage. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're already in there. So it's almost like these commercials are just feeding people that don't need that. The people that these sponsors need to grow the sport are outside of that group. And to reach outside of that group, I do think you have to have more specialized content out there and not have so much to where you can get lost in it.
Yeah, so that's the ultimate question. What is the specialized content? Like even if you, let's say like not let's say we live stream like only big events, right? What how are you still going to get not the non diehard fans to come actually watch this?
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to get the other 3.7 million people that only play less than 7 times a week, like, to come watch this,
Mm-hmm.
actually see this? How are you going to get like the diehard people that play, the 300,000 people that play over 7 times a week? How can you get even a fraction of those people to watch? Like, it's very,
There's a massive disconnect between your casual rec players at the park and getting those people to have any interest in professional pickleball.
Yeah,
And we were talking about this some over the weekend, and I mean, my dad started playing, I think, maybe about 6 months to a year ago, something like that. He's about a 3-0 player. He didn't play tennis or anything. He's early 50s. And even he says he can only watch pro pickleball for maybe 30 minutes at a time, and then he loses interest. So
Mm-hmm.
that's one person, but I know I've personally talked to, 100 more people like that. It's interesting. I don't know if we talked a little bit about, we were trying to think just, okay, a sport like basketball, like everybody watches, college and the
Mm-hmm.
pros, and it's just different, I guess, because of, I don't know, when pickleball has started becoming more popular. It's like just the recreational side exploded before the professional side. It's just different.
but I'm just strictly talking probably live viewers, like the quarterly results, when I look, like there's over 1.5 million views. So I mean, there are people watching, cumulatively, right? And they're watching, a decent amount of time. So like we're still getting a large amount of views, but the question is, what type of views actually are they?
Right.
Right? Are they the same people that are coming back and coming in again? Are they different people that
Right.
are popping in? Um, and so this is, I that's why it's interesting because you can't necessarily, when I'm looking at the analytics, see like how many actual people are watching, kind of deal. Like,
Right.
I don't know what a view is. Is a view, well, I watched for 20 minutes here and then I came back and watched now. Like, I don't know in depth how that actually works on,
Well, and it's also who are they? New viewers? Are they people that
yeah.
are diehards? So, going back to a comment you brought up about recreational players, literally a week and a half before APP Hilton Head, I was at the Hilton Head Motor Coach Resort, which was a mile and a half from Palmetto Dunes, maybe. I don't even know. It might have even been closer than that. And I played 3 times with a group of pickleball players there, and they're full-time or part-time residents at this motor coach resort. They play every single day. Every single day they play pickleball. And when I was talking with them about, hey, is anybody going to go check out this tournament, that's coming up, or, are you guys into it at all? Nobody. Out of the 30 people that I met, not one knew who Simone was. Not one knew that there was a tournament that was going to be a mile and a half down the road a week later that was going to have some of the top players in the entire country. So obviously that was a huge awakening to me that there's a disconnect between recreational players and people that know about the pro circuit. So there's problem number one. Then the second problem is, how do we convert them into views from a live stream so that advertisers and sponsors can get money out there? And then how do we do it to where we make it to where it's a special thing? I don't know. I think whoever can figure that out is going to be the catalyst for getting the sport to the next level, to where sponsors want to pay big bucks because it's valuable to them and they're getting a return on it, and we're growing the sport and it's more televisable, and people are happy with what comes out of it.
Yeah, that's what I can't believe. Like, I've never actually been part of a sport that doesn't know 98% of the people that play don't know any pro players.
Mm-hmm.
I've never dealt with a sport like that.
Yeah.
Like and that's why it's mind-boggling. And I always say that I go to my local park district and play at the park. 10 courts will be full to the max on a weeknight. I one day went up to every single court. I'm just like, hey, have you heard of this tour? Well, what pros do you know? And no one's like, I don't know. Like just like you, Eddie. So I don't understand. Like I'm just at a loss at the disconnect of that, and how do you bridge that gap? It's interesting to me because I feel like more people would watch if they had some type of emotional connection to a player,
Mm-hmm.
right? So people are like, well, why don't you start doing stories on players? I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea, but still, how do you get that? One, that costs to make, right? Obviously,
Yeah.
but two, how do you get it to those local players where there's like, well, this isn't worth my time. I don't know what this is. Like, yeah, right. So it has to be almost like pro players need to understand that like it is a big thing that they are social and they like, and even right now, a lot of them have to do clinics. Like that probably
Mm-hmm.
is helping the sport more than anything because you're getting this emotional attachment that you just spent 3 hours at a clinic with. That hey, I might want to turn on this live stream because Zane Navratil is playing, and I just
Yep.
took a clinic from him, and he's a great guy, right? So that it's a mixture of things, and trying to figure out that formula is unbelievably hard. So, like you say, like whoever cracks that is going to be the one to um, and like I have some ideas about it, but it's just executing these ideas and still getting like you can make as many videos as you want, but if the same people watch them over and over, like what's the point? So
Yep. It's kind of like craft beer, right? There's millions of beer drinkers in America, but a small fraction of them that know what Bell's or New Belgium is, right? And it's probably the same with pickleball. There's 4 million, we said, or 40 million. I can't remember what the number is of actual
pickleball
recreational
players,
Yeah.
4 million.
Okay. So 4 million recreational players out there. It's like probably the similar thing with beer drinkers that drink Bud Light every day, right? They don't even know about these other brands. They don't know why they should even care about it. So they're not going to go seeking the content that might convert them into it because they're happy with their Bud Light and that's what they do. And a lot of these players, they're happy to go and play the same game for the next 5 years of their life against Marge and Dennis, and they show up and they have a blast, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just how do we get them to that? I don't know. Webby, do you have any ideas?
I don't know. I'm very stumped about the whole thing. And to go along with what Kyle said, like many times when I play at the local pickleball courts, when I tell people that we do a pickleball podcast, at first they're like, "Oh, that's really cool," and then I'll say, "Yeah, we've had Ben Johns a few times," and they're like, "Oh, cool. Does he play pickleball? Who is that?" Like people
Right.
people don't know the pros. A
Yeah.
lot of people do not know who the pros are and couldn't care less. And I don't know how to get that to improve. It's tough.
But I just think I think this is a very long process, right? And this is this is why it's so important, right? The like for example, having let's just take the APP because like we'll talk about the APP tour. Let's take
Yep.
this for example for the APP tour. The more people that play in these tours, I feel the more attachment that like the more events that they play, if they play, the more attached they'll get to wanting to watch that, right? But that's the thing is it's a grind. It might not happen in the first year or the second year or the third. Like it's going to take time, right? And so if you're and this is why it's so important that the pickleball community isn't putting the cart before the horse because like people may not know this, but there was a tour before the two tours
Mm-hmm.
that completely blew up
Yep.
because for a number of reasons, but like you know if you really want this to really take off, you better have a financial thing that's going to be long term, right? Or it's going to be very hard to sustain. And that's my only thing is like a tour is going to have to survive, right? So in order for pickleball to continue to keep growing, and
Yep.
I feel like the two tours now have completely different philosophies, and we'll see what happens, right?
Well, and kind of to that point, like I always like to draw parallels between craft beer and pickleball because those are the two industries that I know best. And what I see is in craft beer, you can have a brewery down the street from another one, and those guys are friends. And if one of them is having a problem, hey, I'm short this equipment. Do you have anything? The other brewer, 9 out of 10 times, can be like, absolutely, I'll bring it to you. Hey, my high-low's broken. Can you bring it over because I need to load some kegs? Sure, no problem. There's this collaborative attitude. There's this synergy amongst breweries because they understand they're a small fraction of the beer market, and if they fight each other and if they go for land grabs, they're only hurting the sport and they're only hurting themselves. And I think what I've seen in pickleball is the same thing, where we should encourage these entities to be working together more. We should be supporting each other. Just like Kyle, like you and I earlier, back in the day, we were potentially probably going up against some of the same contracts, but I never looked at you as somebody that was going up against me. I wanted to help you. You wanted to help me. We wanted to help each other. And there was no expectation around, well, what am I going to get in return? There was no like, well, how is this going to make me money? It was just, we want all of this to grow because we know it's better for everybody involved. And I think that concept needs to continue in order for the sport to grow. And every time we see one of these land grabs or people coming in and saying, no, that's mine, back off, or we're doing it this way, you're not involved in that, that's going to hurt the sport. And I think that we need to continue with the other mindset that I just talked about. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, there's just, it's like, since we're in such the early stage, it's like the Wild West, right?
Yeah.
It's like throwing something at the wall and let's see if it sticks, right? And that's just the problem. You have this anytime in business when you're trying, like you're saying, the land grab, right? And you have two competing things. Like it's either you're going to learn to play together or it's just going to be like here and here.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if like I don't know, what's going to happen, right? Because everybody is going for the same money. Everyone's trying to get sponsors. Like how, like it's just I just hope that it just doesn't all just
implode.
Well,
Yeah, right.
We're also in the midst of the worst, instant gratification culture that has ever existed as well. And I think that actually plays into this quite a bit with all of, not even just live streaming, but pro pickleball in general. The players, tours, everything. It can't happen overnight, and everybody wants it to. So how's this all going to play out? I don't know, but
AB's going real deep on us, man.
yeah,
Right?
I like
very
it.
philosophical.
No, I like it.
Yeah, that's just what I worry. I just worry that people think pickleball is where it is when it's not there yet.
Yep.
And that's what the expectation is going to be. And it's just not there. So like everyone's just like, oh, it's growing. That's good. But it's still gonna take time. Let's remember both these tours have only been around for a year.
Right. And COVID made a huge change in everything too.
And you have the pros that feel like they should just be able to play tournaments and be pro players. And you have, like how like that it's just like it's to me that's just not realistic at the current moment for the majority of pro players. Cause like the dollars just to me just aren't there yet.
Yep.
So but it's I don't know. It's like you're saying, it's very interesting times right now, and I just hope it doesn't implode on itself.
Well, hopefully we can regroup again in a year and see where we went with all this. So, Webby, I know it's been a little while since we checked in on social media. Do we have a winner selected yet?
We do. We've actually had a lot of great interaction tonight, but this conversation has been so good I didn't want it to interrupt. Before I announce the winner, though, I do want to bring up one question, and I think this is on everybody's mind. This is not the winner, but this is a great question that I think we need to get the answer to. This comes from Neil Friedenberg, and he said, "Why did KGB cut his hair?"
Oh.
It's funny, like Neil thinks like I'm Russian for some reason. That's like, he's like he always like says my last name like in a Russian accent. So he Selinko like I don't know. It's just I don't know. I just needed a change. I would probably say I just need I just needed a change. So that's pretty
All
much
right.
the reason. Like I was just sick of it. I was just sick of dealing with it, to be honest with you. So and it made my mom happy. So that's all.
All right. Good answer. I'll admit I am going to miss seeing that luscious hair flow in the wind on a nice windy day, but I get it. I get it. But yeah, here's the moment that everybody. Oh no, go
sorry.
ahead.
I mean, but like, I mean, Lauren was telling me, she's like, you have basic white girl hair. So she's like, it's not that great anyway. So you might as well cut it. So
I disagree.
She's like, you need to just
Totally
put it.
disagree.
You need to put. She's like, don't wear it down. You need to just put it up because it's like it's just nothing. I'm like, oh, thanks.
Oh man, I disagree with that though. It was not basic by any means. But all right, here's the moment everybody has been waiting for. The winner of this beautiful Dinktroit pickleball shirt.
That exact one. Webby's not going to wash it or anything. It's going to have his BO all over it. That's the one you're going to get.
Yeah, as soon as the show ends, I'm peeling it off my sweaty chest and sending it to the
Webby sweats like crazy too.
Yeah.
He's a sweaty boy.
That is true. But actually there's a little bit of a twist tonight. I said there was going to be one winner, but there's actually two winners because there were two people that left comments that I could not decide between. So there's going to be two winners tonight. And winner number one is Manuel Fontana. And they said, they were the one that said, what's the funniest thing that happened to you while streaming? I thought that was a great question. We had a great conversation. So that was a no-brainer. So Manuel, however you say your name, congratulations. You are a winner, but not the only winner because we do have one other winner. And hopefully I can find the comment that I wanted to bring up here. Maybe do a little drum roll while I find it.
Drum roll.
Winner number two. The main reason why I picked this winner is because they used the word Dinktroit in about like 7 different comments. So the winner is Paige Heisel. Woot woot. That's an epic Dinktroit answer to a drunk Troit question. But no, she actually had a bunch of great questions throughout the day. I only showed one of them earlier, and that's one of the ones that had Dinktroit mentioned numerous times. But I could tell that she really wanted the shirt. I think she deserves it. So congratulations to you as well, Paige.
Yes. Webby, how should they reach out to us? Get us their contact info. How do they get the shirts?
Yep. Please get us your contact information so you can either message us on our Facebook page, send us a direct message on Facebook, or send us an email to contact@eddieandwebby.com and give us your contact information, and we will get you those shirts. Or actually, I should say the fine folks at Made in Detroit Pickleball will send you the shirts.
Yes. Thank you guys so much for the comments. Kyle, AB, I'm not going to keep you guys that much longer. You've been awesome staying on this long for us, but I just hope I can say something real quick. Webby and I have been very fortunate enough to meet a lot of people in the pickleball world, and we've had the fortunate, we've been fortunate to work with a lot of them. And I got to say, Kyle, we've known you a little longer than AB. You're honestly one of the most passionate people that I know. I've always enjoyed working with you, whether it was even before Boxcar came about. And I'm so grateful that you've invited me to come and be part of your production crew for a few events now. Guys, if you haven't noticed, Boxcar Productions' production value has just went shoo, through the roof. They started off good, and now they're great, and that's purely because of the focus of Kyle and his team. And when you work with them, they're constantly looking for ways to improve this and do that, and listening to feedback. It's awesome to see. AB, you're just like one of the coolest people I know. I enjoy hanging out with you. What you've been able to do to keep Kyle in line, right? Because I know that when I text Kyle, it's really going to you, and I'm so happy because I actually get a response. It's awesome to see, and what you contribute to the production as well is huge. So go out there, guys, and you know, if you see that it's coming from Boxcar Productions, know that not only are you getting a good product, but you're getting it from a great group of people. And after that sappy moment, I want to give you guys the opportunity to share, what are you doing for 2022? How can people find out what's going on? Just, this is your opportunity to talk about whatever you want here.
Sure. So the first thing I would like to say is that, like, I just want to thank my whole team, because, like they say, it takes a village to kind of build something. So everyone that works at Boxcar, they're just as passionate as we are, and like a lot of this stuff could not happen without them. So first off, um, you know, our product wouldn't be what it is without a bunch of great people. So once again, thank you to Randy and Steve and Spencer and AB and Mitch and obviously Lauren and Dom, who are usually always the commentators. I know we've had a lot of discussions internally with what we wanted commentating to be in pickleball, and both of them have really worked on their craft, um, you know, to what our vision was for the tour, and it's kind of cool to see that taking off in all live streams. Um, so thank you to all them. Thank you to the APP tour, Ken, just you know great guy, Terry, great people. They, just having the belief in what we do and the product that we can produce, and then also to USA Pickleball, everyone over there. That's another group that we work with and do their events as well. So thank you for believing in us and all our support. They're a bunch of good people over that have some really interesting and cool plans coming out next year. I think they might even saw like the amateur series, and then like the amateur thing down in where's that?
At Pictona.
At Pictona,
Yeah.
which is real cool stuff. So thank you to everybody with like everybody's hard work and belief and all that stuff. And in terms of this, where pickleball is, and I hope I hope both tours succeed. I always want the best in pickleball, so I'm always racking my brain on how to make it better, from a viewership standpoint, and how to get more people watching. That's the primary goal is, how can we get more people into the sport? Because the more people that are in it, the larger, tournaments are, the more viewers we have, it's a circular cycle. The more players will make, the more sponsors will make money, the more product that we sell. So I just hope in general, that this keeps continuing on the trajectory that it's going. And so I just want to say thank you to, everybody that works hard for us. And, I hope pickleball just continues to grow. AB?
Yeah. Give us a follow on Instagram and Facebook as well. Don't have the handles to throw up there for you, but
Yeah. So
maybe next time.
Yep. So like our Instagram page, we like to, post random photos of nothing bad, but usually pickleball players. So give us a follow there. And then just coming up this month, we have APP Casa Grande. So if you haven't signed up, there's still time. It's a nice draw down there. It's actually where Nationals used to be played at. I forgot the name of the actual park. And then we will be doing Nationals as well. So we are going to be streaming three full production courts at Nationals. So you'll be able to watch a ton of pickleball there. There'll be 6 days worth of streaming going on, and over 100 hours worth of live viewing that you're going to be able to watch of full production stuff. So make sure you guys check that out. And that's going to be on the USA Pickleball Margaritaville page, or I think I got to double check that, but give them a follow, because then you'll be able to watch all the matches on there. So it's kind of what we have going on. And then 2022 is a full slate of stuff that isn't even totally nailed down yet. But there's so many things, so many opportunities that
It's gonna be crazy
it's going to be crazy. So
in the best way.
in the best way,
Awesome. So if I'm a tournament director and we want to get live streaming for a tournament or a tournament series, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Usually you can reach out on me on Facebook. That's probably the easiest way. But my email is just very simple. It's kselinko@gmail.com. And there's our schedule is pretty full, but we always consider all options, and I just so it's kind of where we're at with that. So we'll be seeing a lot. We'll be producing a lot for you guys in the future. So hope to see you.
Nice. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. This was great conversation. Kyle, I hope that you'll invite me to be part of the crew again at some events in 2022 because I always look forward to it. So that would be
for sure, Eddie.
Awesome. And honestly, guys,
and hopefully hopefully we can get Webby out there too as well.
Yeah, Webby, what's up with that, huh?
Yeah, I plan on doing a lot more traveling next year. So yeah, hit me up. Yeah. I'll try to leave Michigan at some point.
Before we go, how are your guys' pickleball games coming along?
Webby, do you want to go first?
My two proudest moments of the year is I won a bronze medal 2 different times in singles tournaments, 3.5 plus singles tournaments. So those are my proudest accomplishments. I won a silver medal
Congrats.
in a mixed doubles tournament. It was just age though, like it wasn't specified by skill. So it was like a wide variety of people that are 40 and over, and I got silver there. So I mean, I'm still proud of it. It was very fun, but I don't know like exactly what the skill level of everybody there was. Some of them were really good, some of them maybe not so good. But yeah, I would say like
just call it open then.
Yeah, there we go.
Technically, yeah.
Yeah, really. I mean, actually, yeah, it was 40 plus open.
Big time.
But I would say like I'm almost a legit 4.0 player. I feel like I'm maybe not 100% a legit 4.0 player, but I'm like this close. What about you, Eddie? What's going on your end?
I'm like a legit 3.0 player. I'm really excited about that. I keep the ball in the court 70% of the time, and I just learned how to dink yesterday, so there you go. I'm doing great. No, I don't get to play as much as I'd like to, but I got a good group that I play with, so that's what I'm going to focus on.
Any tournaments on the horizon for you guys?
Yeah, Sanibel, beginning of December. Tanner Wallace from up in Michigan, he's going to be down here. We're going to play that together. I just secured my U.S. Open partner, so I'm excited about that. And then I'm sure we'll find a couple tournaments here and there.
Nice. The only tournament I currently have on my schedule is I'm doing a Wolverine pickleball tournament in January that's taking place at the Detroit Pistons training facility. It's a state-of-the-art facility, and it should be a very fun experience. Of course, everybody can expect a video of that experience. And here's the crazy part. I'm playing in 4.5. I'm doing the 4.5 division because my partner is a 4.5 player, and he decided to try carrying me. I've never done 4.5 before. I've only ever done 4.0. I've never won a medal in 4.0 before, but I'm just going ahead and leaping right into 4.5.
How strong is Tom's back? Do you think like he can carry you for a while, or like how?
We will find out. But yeah, our good friend Tom Miller from the Grand Rapids area is going to hopefully carry me to victory, and maybe I'll just bypass 4.0 and just go right into 4.5.
Right. Just go to
5.0. Now we can make this like into the what do you guys call that? Dinking around. This is just kind of now off topic. No more live streams. What now? Like we've been traveling around a lot. Where like if you had to say what regions of the United States, if you had to rank them, like where would you rank? Like let's say the West Coast to like the South to like the South. I mean like the Central South, so like Texas and that area. To Texas, Arizona, obviously the Pacific Northwest, you get the East, and then like Florida is like its own entity, and then like the Midwest. how would you guys kind of rank those from what you see?
I think it depends on style of play. Like down here in Southwest Florida, the game is much more controlled. It's much more it flows a lot better. It's I don't know, it just feels like it feels more like a dance, you know. It's like it's a very smooth game. I'm not saying that people don't hit the ball hard or they don't go for it, but it's a much more controlled, smooth game where I feel like when I go to the Detroit area, everybody's just a freaking banger and that's it. And it's like all they do is go for winners every single shot. And then when I see the type of play that's out west, I feel like it's a little bit more like Florida. But then you have this little pocket in Grand Rapids in that area that they're like some of the best players that I've encountered throughout the entire country. So I don't know, man. I think it varies. What do you think, Webby?
Well, you have not played in Southeast Michigan in a while. Southeast Michigan, I think, has caught up to Grand Rapids.
I just played there 2 months ago.
When?
With
Where?
you in Livonia. Come on.
That was like a random group of people that I like. I only knew a few of those people there. I feel like if you play with like that was just like open play randoms. Like I feel like if you play with like the people that play regularly, I think you would get your ass beat, to be honest.
Oh, I'm sure I would. I'm just saying that the vast majority of people, the soft game is a something that they do because they mishit their paddle. It's not something that they do strategically. You know what I'm saying?
No, if you play with the solid players that I've been playing with lately, it's much better, much better than what you've seen in this area. But I can't really speak to too much because I've really only ever played pickleball in Michigan, Indiana, and Florida. And the last time I played in Florida, like I was still like barely a 3-0 player, so I can't really give a good judgment on how the people that I play with regularly in Southeast Michigan compare to the other regions. I need to start traveling, and I do plan on doing so in 2022, and I'll let you know. I'll report back.
Yeah, that's one of the things that like it's kind of fun. Like, so I played in like how many tournaments? Like 6 tournaments this year, I think, just this year. So it's kind of get a good idea, you know. And we've done well in all of them. So that's what I'm saying is like I think the Midwest in general, because like there's a lot of good guys even in Wisconsin and Northern Illinois
Yeah.
that are just like really good. There's a solid group of 4-0s to low 5-0s, right? There's which I think like the Midwest, like when we go play and I see other players, I'm like, yeah, this region is better than like the Midwest. I feel is very underrated. People don't realize that. I think she was even surprised when she came up here because she's originally from Arkansas. And she spent a lot of time she in Alabama about like just the quantity of good players in the Midwest, which I find extremely interesting. And then like when we go play tournaments, it's fun to see where kind of like our skill set like kind of is compared to because we played in Louisville and then North Carolina and then just in Florida, right? And so it's interesting to see.
Yeah, totally different fields in each tournament
Yeah.
too. Different styles.
What
Like
have
you're
you like?
saying.
What's the style that stands out the most to you, and like what region?
I don't know. I felt like the Louisville tournament, it was a lot. I don't want to say like banging, but like a little bit, more people hitting drives than drops and not as maybe controlled as some of the players in North Carolina and Florida, which that North Carolina tournament was a really big field. So lots of different styles in that one. But I think playing in those events in different locations pretty much just kind of helps me realize like the practice that we're able to get here, like that Kyle's talking about, like in Wisconsin and in Northern Illinois, like is very, very good quality. And there's multiple groups that we can go play with and have good games every single time.
And so like yeah, so like I would like and I put obviously in Michigan. So like a lot of the players that are like the same skill levels of what you guys see in Michigan. Because there's a lot of like Michigan used to be like when I first started playing, like Michigan was probably the best state, and it could possibly still be in terms of players, right? just a large vast of good quantity of players. Even Minnesota has a bunch of underrated players that people don't even really know about, that they don't travel a whole lot. But that's what I'm saying is like it's always interesting to me to see just where we stack up in terms of pickleball, and really no one ever thinks about us up in the way up here in the cold. So
In the cold, yeah. Interesting though. Yeah, I'd like to see more styles of play across the country. All right, so it is almost my bedtime. We should probably wrap this up because
yeah.
like the cops are going to come knocking. But again, I really can't thank you guys enough for being here. Great perspective, awesome talking pickleball production. As all of you guys out there can tell, we could talk about this stuff all day. Anytime we hang out, we pretty much do, and that's why it's always fun. Always love hanging out with you guys. Can't wait to see you again soon. Any final thoughts you want to share with the world?
No, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
It's been fun.
And
good to see you guys.
Go play some pickleball tournaments, everybody, because they are fun. And don't take it too
Very
seriously. I see people taking things way too seriously,
Yeah.
right?
I'll agree with you there.
That's the key. Just don't take it too seriously. Just have fun with it.
Yeah, because I mean, think about it. Tournaments are pretty much just glorified rec play, right? That's why I was talking to somebody. I won't mention who it was, but I'm just like having just a little bit of perspective on what it is and what we're doing here, and nobody will remember what happened on Monday when we go home. Right. So like,
yep.
Have some perspective on what we're doing. But if you're a pro, that's a different story. If this is your livelihood, like okay, maybe we can smash a couple.
For all the pros watching this right now, just disregard that last statement.
Get out there, and play.
Yeah. But Kyle, I do want to bring up one more thing before we part ways. I do want to challenge you to a future episode of Webby versus everybody. I know we've chatted about it on the side, but I want to make this happen soon.
All right. You know that one you had with Zane had a lot of views on there. I don't know if I'm going to be able to live up to that though.
I feel like I'm a much better singles player than I was when I played Zane. I don't know why I decided to take on like the top
battle?
singles pro in the world at that point in my singles career, but
seemed like
I'm better now.
Back over to that. Yeah,
I'm better now.
I want to make it over and see Leslie and the Wolverine Pickleball Club. They're fun.
Nice.
So.
Yeah, but yeah, if you come this way, let me know. Otherwise, I do plan on coming over to your part of the country. I want to play against you and maybe meet up with Zane again. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, you need to come visit. Like obviously, like I know so many people, and we could get so many games that would really benefit your game as well. So let me know.
Nice, for sure.
Awesome. Thank you guys. It's been awesome. I can't wait to have you on again in the future. Okay.
All right. Bye, guys.
See ya.
Bye.
Wow. Another great episode. They're awesome people. I've always enjoyed hanging out with them. I wish I could tour around the country with them if they'd have me and do live streaming, because they're just a lot of fun to work with and super cool group.
Yeah, when we worked with them at the Beer City Open this year, it was such a blast. And the fact that you and I like weren't in charge of anything, we could just plop down and help whenever we felt like it. That was awesome.
Made it that much better, right?
Yeah.
Well,
no, but very, very cool, very fun episode.
Yep.
I loved it. Good times.
That's right. And guys, as as we've mentioned before, we're trying out a new format here, much more topical, less videos, less less things like that, so that we can just kind of go live and make this very discussion, very open, dialogue type of stuff. Let us know what you think. Do you like this format? Would you rather us stick with our pros asking pros questions and really just focus more on the pros? Do you like that we're going more topical, more conversation, less structured? Let us know. Webby and I have our preference, but if you guys don't like it, it doesn't really matter. So let us know what you guys think. And anything else you want to add, Webby?
No, I think that was a very fun episode, but that's all I got for you guys tonight.
Well, on that note, I'm Eddie.
And until next time, this is Webby, not Eddie, signing off.
See ya.